Those bonds were refinanced back in 2015, and then there was a refinancing in 2017. So as many of you know, that project never fully developed, and although it was intended to be paid for from tax increment revenues of the Brownfield Authority and the DDA on that area, those revenues have not sufficiently paid those bonds. So the city has also used money from the utility fund and the general fund to cover the debt service on those bonds over the years. So the 2015 bonds have the ability to be refinanced because the interest rates in today's market are significantly lower than what they were in 2015. And we have the ability to, even though those bonds are not callable, meaning usually when bonds are issued, you can't pay them off early for the first 10 years. And so we did the original deal in 05, we did a refinancing in 15. You can issue bonds early to pay them off, but we can't pay the bonds off until 2025. So what this refinancing is doing is borrowing money today at lower interest rates to be able to save money on the bonds that will be paid off for the years 2025 to 2034. So whenever we do a refinancing, we always match it up so it's the same duration as the original bond issue. It's not being extended at all. These really went out about as far as they could go. And so that you look at how much is the interest rate, how much are the issuance costs, and then what's the savings in doing the refinancing. So again, Mike Gormley has the information on the refinancing, but there's significant savings to the city by doing this now because rates are so low. The process is the Brownfield Authority is the issuer of the bonds. They met last week and approved a resolution to authorize the sale of the bonds. And those bonds are payable from the same sources as the original ones. Again, the city of Taylor stands behind those bonds as the backup security, and of course in this case you actually do contribute some general fund dollars to cover that. So that's why this is coming to you tonight. The Brownfield Authority approved the issuance of the bonds. The action item for you as the city council is to pledge the city's full faith and credit behind the bonds in the same way that the original bonds were done. And without that full faith and credit, the bonds would not be able to be sold. So this is really a financing intended to save money. We can only do it if we achieve debt service savings through the refinancing. And again, the idea is trying to take advantage of the low interest rates and get this into the market to refinance that debt to save money.
Through the chair, do you know what the interest rate is?
That's a great question, and I'm going to transition that one over to Mike Gormley, who's the numbers guy. Yeah.
Hi. When we ran the analysis and prepared the numbers for Jason and the mayor, it did come to our attention that since interest rates are so low, on a taxable basis, we could advance refund these with the caveat that we could get bond insurance to sell the bonds, which is ultimately what the investors are going to want. Unlike what Pat had said before regarding the Act 51 MTF monies, which are rated AA, the rating of the program, as I told the Brownfield board, we would need bond insurance. So we're hopeful to get bond insurance to lock in the rates. In today's market, we'd probably be looking at somewhere about let's call it a 1.8%. Versus on the 2015 refinancing that we did tax exempt, we locked in a 4.56% rate. Just shows you how much rates have compressed since then. And then we ran a sensitivity analysis if the market moved 25 basis points higher or lower, what happened to the savings. But right now we're below 2% and we're taking out money that's paying above 4.5%. You know, as I said, that's all based upon us securing bond insurance, like the old bonds had bond insurance, the bonds we're taking out. But I will say this, that bond insurer is no longer writing policies. So we're talking to other bond insurers that are higher rated, that are looking at this with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it gets approved. So we're trying to do everything we can to get the deal insured. If we get it insured, we think we'll definitely get it in the market. If we don't get it insured, chances are we'll go back to the Brownfield board and ask for another resolution to possibly do a private placement if we still think interest rates are low and we can save the city money, and any money that we save on this project would directly impact the general fund to the better, which is ultimately our goal here. So if we're not successful with the bond insurance, then would be my recommendation, is go back to the Brownfield board, adopt a new resolution for doing some sort of private placement if rates are still compressed moving into 2021, and moving along those lines. But right now we're full steam ahead trying to get the deal done like it was done in 2015 with bond insurance, but at this point with different insurers. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. So right now, the estimated savings, based upon today's market, the approximate gross savings are about $620,000 over the life of the deal. That's the gross savings. The net present value is about $550,000. That's about 7.9%. The Government Finance Officers Association industry standard for municipal refinancings is net present value of about 3%. So right now we're well in excess of that. Even if the market moves away from us, say 25 basis points higher, we're still at roughly 6% net present value savings, or about $390,000. So that would be about, on an annual basis, in today's market, let's just call it just under $50,000, somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. If the market moves against us, we'd be probably somewhere closer to $30,000 to $35,000 annually savings. So as long as we can keep chipping away at the debt service that the general fund has been having to contribute, that's our goal here, and to take advantage of even the taxable market by taking out tax-exempt bonds. And trust me, you're not the only municipality that's taken advantage of that and done advanced refundings on a taxable basis. They've been done all over the country, given interest rates.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Bzura?
are you essentially predicting an uptick in the economy and interest rates in terms of your timing now, or is there something about the bond market? Why not 6 months from now if we go through the cold, long, dark winter that Mr. Biden is promising? Why wouldn't rates be lower in 6 months?
I'm not an economist, and the bond market is like the stock market. Rates change every day. There's a lot of factors that we have no control over. Politics is one of them. COVID is another, which could sway the markets either way. And so I really can't predict where we're at. All I can say to the administration and to the chair and council is, here's today's market. Here's where it would be if we moved to your better or to your worse, and what the savings would be. But to make predictions on where we think we'll be with the new administration, and whether the Senate is held by the Democrats or the Republicans, and there's a checks and balances, whether COVID continues, those are all questions that are out of my reach right now, and I would not want to speculate. All I can just say is the facts that I know right now, and what the possibilities are. And merely the Brownfield, as I told the Brownfield board, you're positioning yourself to take advantage of it if the market's there and we get the bond insurance. If not, we'll go back probably and discuss Plan B, which would be a private placement dealing with one or two institutional investors and seeing where we're at. But to make a prediction on rates, I'm sorry, I can't think.
You'd never take that into consideration in terms of the timing. You're just looking at what you can save today, regardless of what might happen 6 months from now. That's never part of the decision-making tree when you're making these sorts of refinancing decisions. I thought maybe it would play a role in that decision.
We do look at things like if the holidays are coming up and the market slows down. We do look at things like if there's a Fed meeting and the Fed actually may take action, then we try to steer away from that. We look at things that we know that are out there that could potentially have a market impact, but to speculate what's going to happen, next May, I can't tell you. So I'm sorry, maybe I'm not answering your question, but
No, you are.
we just try to show our clients what's before them right now and what the possibilities are, and as diligently as we can work with them to try to get them into the market is the best thing that we can do.
other questions? Okay, if not, I have a motion by Councilwoman Winton, supported by Councilman Bezura. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item 6.11 is a motion to receive and file the TIPA approval of SCI Floor Covering, Inc., low bid for floor installation at the Taylor Sportsplex for amount of $60,100.